There's been an increase of using modes such as Survivor, Tag Team Takedown, PvP to include special edition content that allows you to get free special edition cards. And given that this is the second time it's been used for Survivor, I thought that I'd bring one of my most popular videos from somewhere else to my YouTube channel. Yes, I'm going to tell you with a 2023 update how to win Survivors easy. I'd probably say that the second most asked question on this channel is how do I win Survivors? But I want to know what you think the number one question asked on the channel is. Put it in the comment section down below, but wrong answers only. I'm looking forward to some of these. Best ones will get a heart from me, especially if you include the secret word hidden somewhere in this video. But I'm gonna ask you all, do you want to see more free-to-play guides? Because I've done stuff for Poor Man's SuperCard in the past, but there's multiple modes I've not covered in a long time, like Clash of Champions. We only just did Codebreaker, Last Man Standing, and even Road to Glory with its brand new changes. And if we hit 1,000 likes, I will make sure I do that Clash of Champions free-to-play guide when the next event comes, which is probably in August. Less than 10 days away. Time goes real fast. So here it comes, an updated Survivor guide for 2023 on this channel. Segue. I'm giving you the ultimate Survivor guide. And when I say ultimate Survivor guide, Survivor's a mode that requires a lot of RNG, as in RNGesus. I praise you for giving us the luck and the precious cards. But my friends, did you know there are ways of manipulating the RNG to give you better chances of winning? Trust me, this is going to be a video you need to watch. And I give you a guarantee that you will walk away from this video knowing one thing about Survivor mode you didn't know before. When I play Survivor, I go by 6 very specific rules. Rule number 1 is expect to lose a lot. Bet you didn't expect that one, did you? But seriously, get used to it. If you've ever played Survivor before, you'll know this is a hodgepodge of RNG, bad and good decisions. Some of this mode is just based around rolling a dice and hoping you get a 6, and if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, then sorry folks, you're out of luck. Sometimes things just don't go your way, and the quicker that we all accept that, the better a Survivor experience will have. Basically, learn not to rage as someone super moves you again and again and again and again and again. That being said, there are smarter and easier ways to avoid such situations, and that's why you're watching this video. It's the reason this guide exists. So let's get into rule number 2. Don't be afraid to lose your best cards. When you're given your starter deck, you're gonna get some good cards and some terrible ones. To find out which cards are worse or which cards are ranked higher than others, come to my Discord, which I'm gonna link in the description and comments down below, where we have up-to-date rankings of which cards are best and which cards are naff, which is a John Cena and which is an Eric Bischoff. Listen, I like Eric Bischoff, okay? He's not a wrestler. He's a karate specialist. That is gonna help you make split decisions on the fly. Sometimes in Survivor, it is best to pass the minimal chance that you're going to get yourself a pro like The Undertaker, John Cena, Becky Lynch, Chyna, Brock Lesnar, especially in the earlier rounds. Now, why is that? It's not just rarity because it's randomly generated. No, it's because of bias. If you're a fan of a certain superstar or just a fan of wrestling legends and you see a John Cena or a Stone Cold Steve Austin and you think, what? I want to keep that guy because I want a pro of him and I want to play with him and he's a really good card. But the likelihood is you're not going to get that card from a random person. You're likely to get rid of the likes of Nikita Lyons, Tyler Bate, The Miz, maybe Tony D'Angelo, people they may not know or just don't have great stats in the game. And that is where you're going to pick up the scraps which are going to allow you to get not just pros, but fortifies really easy. If you're looking to pro your stronger cards, then I would recommend waiting until you get to the main screen after every match or every game. That's where you can trade in discard cards for those potential options. Now, this strategy can be risky and can backfire big time, but I use this on the regular and I always end up with more pros than I don't end up with pros. And if you end up getting a fortified card from that, those cards are going to be better than the best pros anyway. Rule number 3, always bring a gun to a knife fight. I mean, a super move to a survivor. I said we'll begin with the basics, and this is a doozy. Entering without a super move, you're basically handing a massive advantage to all the other competitors in your survivor. A super move all but guarantees one win, at least if you use it the right way, which is great considering you're gonna need at least 7 of them to win a survivor. This is of course dependent on how your opponent plays and if they use their super move at the same time, but we'll come to that in a moment. If you've used your super move recently and you're recharging it, I can recommend a few modes to go to. First of all, Royal Rumble, Giants Unleashed, Elimination Chamber, and Codebreaker are the best ones, and if you don't intend on using them for these 2 modes, Last Man Standing and Clash of Champions. But the best is definitely Royal Rumble, and there's a little trick not many people will know, so you might be hearing this for the first time, but losing a Royal Rumble match actually charges your super move faster. If you intentionally lose your Royal Rumble match, you can get anything up to over 50% of your super move charged in one match. For every point you lose in a Royal Rumble, you gain 4% of your super move, where every win only gains you 2%, which means 52% is the maximum you can get per bout, which you do that twice, full super move. Survivors take anywhere from 7 to 20 minutes to complete at a time, and every bout for a Royal Rumble refreshes every 15 minutes, making the timing even better for those who want to get out of a survivor and jump straight back in with a charged super move ready. But when do you use it? And that is rule number 4. When should you use that super move? And I could seriously give you any answer and it could be right, but I've got the best ways coming right up. The first tip I can give you is, as tempting as it is, don't use it within the first 3 rounds. Seriously, you're gonna really hurt your chances if you use it early on. Yes, it's the ultimate move, but a little laugh you have between you and your friends might end up costing you the entire thing later on down the line. But that refers me back to rule number 1. Be willing to accept defeat. If you are 2-0 down in a survivor, don't waste your super move and then potentially have to wait another 20 minutes to gain yourself another super move for another survivor. Take the L. If you're 2 down and you got 0 wins and the third one is about to win, don't use your super move. Take the L, move into the next one. It's better to let fate decide than use a super move to force a win. By getting out early, you've got a chance of getting into a fresh survivor with fresh opponent, and you've still got your super move intact, so you don't have to wait. The next tip I can give is try to hold off using it until at least the quarterfinals. When you're coming up towards the end, you want to be holding this back just in case you need it. Absolutely do not touch it if you have got a win streak and 0 losses. You'll thank me later. Use your losses as a cushion and super move as a last resort. So now we move on to when you should use it. These are the best moments to absolutely maximize on the benefit of a super move. First of all, to counteract abilities like Overrun, Defend, Inspire, and Chain. Second is with a single superstar versus a pro superstar. And the third is to boost an incompatible or a poor tag team against one that's more powerful. But the absolute best moment that you can use this is when you have a superstar with overrun. You see, if overrun triggers at the same time as a super move, it carries the boost of that super move over to your next match. And as rare as this situation might occur, it's happened to me multiple times. That means you get the benefit in not just one match, but 2 matches. It's infuriating. But if you're the benefactor, oh, it's very sweet. And last tip, be unpredictable with when you use it. So this could mean that instead of deploying it in what most people do, waiting for round 3 of a match, you do it in round 2, which might catch someone off guard, especially if you got the win in round 1. But that's super moves out the way. Rule number 5 is paying attention to indicators and abilities. Indicators for abilities such as chain, defend, inspire, and overrun triggering are seen in the top right hand side for your opponent and the bottom right hand side for your own deck. These are incredibly important, and if you play by them, you might just get an extra win, or if you don't, an extra loss that can change the entire survivor for you. The only abilities that don't show before a match begins are reverse and assist, with assist being particularly cruel. They're also super important, like I mentioned just now, for when to play a super move. For example, if someone else has a massive defend boost, you could use your super move to boost a really average single card against 2 pros in a tag to beat them with ease. By making the choice whether to play a powerful card or not to play a powerful card, depending on what abilities have been triggered, you could avoid wasting cards or holding your best cards back for use at a later time. It's also worth considering using certain cards in your deck dependent on what abilities they have. For example, using an ability which is an inspire or defend as a discard card effectively, hoping that if it triggers an inspire or defend, your next match would be a guaranteed win. Or if you've got one pro that has assist and one pro that has reversal, you might decide to use the assist card, because if it triggers assist, you will end up winning against whatever card the person throws out. But again, this is risky, so you may end up doing this only to fall flat on your face. RNG is not always on your side, that's for sure. And the final rule is choosing your deck. Now this one I could have split into different rules individually, but I instead decided to keep this to bullet points and individual different strategies you can use as part of one section about choosing the best cards to pro, to discard, etc. Building your deck is the foundation of getting yourself extra wins in Survivor, so it's probably a good idea to focus on getting the best cards possible to increase your chances. Let's begin with always pick pros over anything else. If a card becomes available that's a pro, grab it straight away, whether you're discarding one card for another. If that card gives you a pro, keep it, because that is going to be the most important thing for your Survivor. But which cards do you pro first? Well, that's the next point, and this comes down to choosing wisely based on the arrows you have. So here's a situation for you. I've got 2 Big E's ready to pro, but I also have 2 Santos Escobars ready to pro as well. My final card is a Xavier Woods. In this situation, you would think, let's go with the better card, let's go with Big E. But wrong. No, you want to go for Santos Escobar. Why? Because you don't have any other taggable cards that go at that moment with Santos Escobar. You want to keep as many taggable cards as you can, because that will win you matches. So by keeping the Big E and Xavier Woods, you have a single superstar in Santos Escobar as a pro, you have a Big E, which is a great card to have, and then you have a tag for Big E and Xavier Woods when you need it. And this comes down to treating tags sometimes as more important than getting the better cards. And this comes into deck balance. And when I say deck balance, I'm talking about the arrows you're choosing. You may have the chance to have an Asuka in your deck, but you've already got 3 down arrows and none of them are Asuka. You need an up arrow for that tag. So in a situation where you could choose Asuka, a down arrow, or Carmella, an up arrow, my suggestion is to keep or pick the Carmella, because then you've got a compatible tag. Taking the Asuka might be a blessing in disguise, but more than likely it's going to cause more problems with less compatible cards waiting to tag. Next up is stay away from fortifying multiple pros until the latter stages. I've had this situation where I've had 4 Grayson Wallers and I've split them into 2 pros. You want to keep it that way for as long as possible, because keeping 2 pros is going to win you more matches than fortifying into 1 ultra mega card. And my final tip is about using your discard cards to cause problems for your opponent. Now this really usually works at the latter stages. We're talking the final and semi-finals, when you're in the top 3. But where you have the opportunity to, when selecting cards to keep and to remove in your hub or in the menu for Survivor, it's worth picking cards that are generally weaker or might cause a problem if you've been keeping a note of the person's deck and what their strengths and weaknesses are. For example, if someone has a left and right arrow heavy deck, you might decide to throw a Carmella in there as an example. It's an up arrow, they're not going to want that in their deck. It's also a weaker card, so if you come up against it, you're more likely to beat it. So if you have a really powerful card like Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, or let's just say The Undertaker or The Rock or something, try to get rid of those if you can and if they're not useful for you, and grab the weakest card you can to send them to your opponent. Just make sure you're not giving them an extra advantage in future rounds, because the worst thing you can do is give someone a fortify and you've benefited them for a future match against you in the final. So there we go. Today you've learnt everything not only I know, but all the secrets and tricks to winning easy survivors. Perfect way to end the video, but I'm going to ask you guys to let me know in the comments what you think the #1 question I'm asked in my comments and across the board for SuperCard. Wrong answers only. Hit the thumbs up button if you want to see that Clash of Champions guide literally as soon as the next event drops. And if you want to see more videos just like this, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. Turn your notifications on. We've got ourselves a Survivor Award to end things off. What myth card are we going to get? Well, that's a WrestleMania card. WrestleMania Bobby Lashley. Rarity draft pick and Gunter. Is he? I think he's new. Nice. I like it, but obviously, most importantly, the 4 riddle tokens. I wish you all the best of luck. Hope this guide works for you. But I've been SuperZomGBBQ. You have been awesome for watching this video. Peace out, mother chuckers. I almost forgot this rarity pick. Is it going to be a reset? Yes, it is. What's it going to be? Come on. Hey. Not bad. Hey, now time for the real outro. Peace out.